Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the next episode of the Deep Dive with Toya Creates. And we are going to get into the week of June 15th for Beyond the Gates. And what a week it was. Oh my God. On Monday, June 15th, we see Vanessa at Joey's condo. They are just trying to, process and just deal with everything that has happened. And Vanessa is refusing to go to sleep until she hears from her children. So, she's been desperately trying to reach them, but the phones are down. And I believe the same can be said for the children who are at Banneker. So, Deanna is finally able to get through and she has a conversation with her mother. She was just very worried about Vanessa because this tornado came through, and thankfully, Deanna and Donnell are okay at Banneker. But Deanna was really concerned about her mother, and they were about to have a nice, tender moment because Deanna was just like, I just wanted to say that I'm so happy to hear from you, and I know we have our differences. Why does Big Mouth Joey in the background? Now he had tried to get Vanessa to like calm down, so he said he was gonna go and draw her a bath. So then he comes out all loud and talking about, oh, the bubble bath is almost ready. And Deanna was like, y'all know how Deanna do. So that quickly turned into, oh, you were just so concerned about us, weren't you? You don't care about us at all, and blah blah blah, and click. And Vanessa was just like, you know what? Because Joey was apologizing yet again. And I feel like this time he did not do it purposely like he did in Mexico or wherever they were when Doug died. This time, I feel like Joey was genuinely just trying to get Vanessa to relax and was not trying to raise the ire of Deanna because my God, today. Anyways, so Joey is apologizing for that, and Vanessa finally is like, you don't have to apologize for what you do in your own home, and we are adults. And if Deanna never comes around to this, we are just gonna have to agree to disagree. And that's all Vanessa can do because, I understand that Deanna is giving Vanessa good advice. However, the delivery is always piss poor and disrespectful. I don't care because if that were my child, I guess we just wouldn't be speaking because I can't tolerate the disrespect that she gives this woman. But whatever. Deanna's okay and Donnell is okay as well. So then Vanessa and Joey, I'm gonna just get them out of the way. They were also talking about what happened in the ballroom when Joey sprang into action and saved Abby Winters from at least a concussion at the very least because the chandelier was falling on her head and he jumped and pushed her out of the way. And now Jack said he's basically indebted to Joey. So then Vanessa's talking about that again, and she's just gushing about how much of a hero Joey is, and he should think of himself more in that vein instead of just being like, you know, just this mean mobster type who has no heart and no soul. So Vanessa is just very just impressed with what Joey did, and she wants him to think a little more highly of himself as well. And then Vanessa also notes that Abby is the wife of billionaire Devon Winters. So Joey's like, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have saved whoever. But if these wealthy Abbotts or Newmans or Winters want to thank me, he will be much obliged. And I'm not mad at it because why not? So, like I said, a lot of people are still in the ballroom at this point. Anita and Nicole are two of those people. And Nicole is actually, commenting on how well Leslie wrapped up Anita's, I think, ankle that was sprained or her leg. Let's just say that. And then Nicole was wondering if she shouldn't have lashed out at Leslie earlier when she basically told her to sit her ass down somewhere and shut up. And Anita was like, you owe that woman absolutely nothing. So you did right. We also saw Chelsea talking to Vernon because they are still in the ballroom, and Chelsea's just having a little bit of, I would say, PTSD from her entire kidnapping ordeal because she told Vernon that this traumatic storm experience was bringing up old memories. So Vernon, per usual, is very great talking down his, is that his granddaughter? Yeah, I feel like that's right. Yeah. And Vernon just stays very calm under pressure, and he's a great patriarch for the family. I really love his character. I wish he was my granddaddy. I love it. So then we go over to Garland just for a little while. It's super chaotic over there. Leslie is frantically looking for Eva, only to be told that Eva is already in emergency surgery. So Leslie is just reeling from all of this. So Ted and Isaiah arrive as fast as they can, and Leslie just breaks down and falls into Ted's arms. Now, this time, she is not trying to cause no issue, no nothing. She literally cannot deal with what's going on. So then Smitty is still in the ballroom as well with Martin. And Martin had just got finished telling Shonda that he wanted to donate all of his campaign fundraising to tornado relief. He just got finished telling Smitty that he was fine and he could go home, just to promptly collapse in the middle of the ballroom floor. And he is not waking up. Smitty is frantic. Thankfully, the first responders are there at this point, and so he is updating them and telling them how Martin was literally just up, walking and talking perfectly fine before he just blacked out. So then, Nicole and everyone is terrified about that. But come to find out a little later, it's nothing super serious, but we will talk about that later. So then Tyrell and Samantha have been at home this whole time because they didn't go to the fundraiser, and they have been trying to get in touch with their family this entire time. And so after Nicole leaves the country club, she is able to stop by the house and tell Tyrell and Samantha what is going on with Martin, and they head over to the hospital to check on him. So back at Garland, Tomas and Kat arrive because Kat is very concerned about Eva and she wants to check on her. But they are not received well, okay? Because Leslie is there and she was like, what the hell do y'all want? Like, she goes off on them. And I know a lot of people hate Leslie, but I totally get it as a mama bear. Eva is her child, plain and simple. And she was like, I don't want any bad energy here. You don't care about my daughter. You've done everything in your power to make her feel less than. And she basically tells Tomas and Kat to get out. She is screaming in that reception area. And then Ted steps in and he tells Leslie, that is enough. Like, you are not going to berate my other daughter. And you need to calm down. And so she does in the moment. And Kat is just like, I've never seen Kat so quiet. So shut up. Okay. Because Leslie shut that down real fast. I agreed with it. Even though I did feel bad because Kat actually does care about Eva in this situation. Because I firmly believe if she didn't, she would not have shown up. And I feel like Leslie should have maybe put a little bit of her anger to the side just to realize, well, Kat is actually here. But Ted is able to shut that down, like I said. And so Kat eventually goes over to Leslie and she talks to her. And Leslie's kind of venting about how just, she can't deal. It's just too much for her. And she just hates all of this waiting. So Kat tells her that they will wait together. And I thought that was a very nice moment. I mean, it just goes to show you in times of crisis, people typically will step up despite their differences. In another part of the hospital, Martin is still unconscious, but he is getting tested. And then by the time Nicole and Tyrell and Samantha arrive, Martin is awake. Thankfully, he only had a concussion, which is fantastic because an entire tree landed on Martin and he walked away with a concussion. So that is great. So Nicole and Tyrell and God, Samantha and Smitty are all in the room just talking about, the news. Madison is the one who did the testing for Martin and she's the one delivering the results. So at this point, Vernon and Anita have been home. They have no idea what is going on. And Vernon just happens to FaceTime Nicole and he was like, what is going on? Because he can hear the ruckus in the background, just like people talking and all of the things. Because Madison is telling, the diagnosis for Martin. And what is going on? And then he is basically learning in real time that Martin collapsed again. And Granddaddy was none too pleased, and neither was Anita. They were big pissed. Verna was like, I know they know better than to call me first if anything happens in this family. And Anita said it too. And she was like, wait until they hear from me. Basically, they were like, I know they're adults, but they are still babies and they are still not handling things properly, obviously. But they are very happy that Martin is okay. And they hold their tongues for a later time. So that was good. So then, Martin's still downplaying the fuss and all of that. He doesn't want to stay overnight because the primaries are tomorrow, which I understand because he doesn't want to do like his speeches and things of that nature from a hospital bed, even though Madison wants him to stay overnight for observation. But as long as he promises to follow the rules and Smitty says he will, Madison allows them to check out. So the surgeon comes out and she gives the worst news ever for Eva. Basically, Eva has suffered extensive liver damage and it is beyond salvaging, meaning she needs an immediate transplant to survive. And Leslie's almost like not comprehending, she's trying to think of she's trying to stay positive and think of other things that they could do to fix this situation. She always wants to fix things. And so Ted has to break it down, and he was just telling Leslie and Isaiah, because Isaiah has been there, and I love that. He tells them that, if we can't find a match for Eva in time, she's gonna die. And so they are all preparing to get the family tested and do whatever they can to find this match for Eva. Now, Kat hears this news, and Chelsea's still there as well. And Kat is spiraling out. Like, she feels super guilty at this point. She has internalized all of this for some reason as if she caused the tornado and as if she left Eva there to die. She didn't do any of those things, but she feels guilty for the way she has treated Eva in the past, even though, they've both done wrong on their sides. But, Kat is feeling a little guilty, and Chelsea's just like, well, your slick mouth didn't cause this liver damage, and, you it's not your fault, and at least you're here, and woo, woo, woo. So then Isaiah and everybody who has heard this news, minus Kat, has decided to be tested to see if they could be possible donors. And then the episode ended very, very churchy, very black coded. I love it. Because Isaiah's in the room with Eva and he's just praying. Because who knew Isaiah was such a praying man? And that's exactly what Leslie said when she came in and saw him praying. And he was just like, basically his mama raised him right. And he always leans on his faith in situations like this. And Leslie comments on, like, well, I don't think God is going to listen to me after all the stuff I've done. And Isaiah was like, it does not work like that. And they hold hands and they pray for Eva's life together. And I was like, please, Isaiah, stir up the gift for Eva because this cannot be. So let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday, June 16th, we see the Hamiltons checking into the Bowman Hotel because a fallen tree is blocking their home. So it's Haley and Bill, and Haley just lovingly asks her honey bunny how he passed the time being stuck in that stairwell because she says she would have panicked and she just wonders what Bill was doing during this time. I laughed so hard because he started flashing back to his moment with Danny in the elevator, even though he's lying to Haley and said he was in the stairwell. And Haley already clocked this the other week. She was still just pointing out how he just didn't have a single speck of dust on him. And then, it's just a miracle. And Bill lies. He's talking about how he was just thinking about Haley the entire time when he was in the stairwell. Oh my God. So then Haley starts looking up the Abbots. She was like, "Oh, did you know the Abbots are basically like a, what did she call it? Like a cosmetology conglomerate or something like that. Like they have this huge beauty business and they have all this money and blah, blah, blah." And so Bill was like, I mean, yeah, they have all of that. And why are you so concerned about it? What, you miss your little boyfriend from the closet, referring to Kyle Abbott. And then Bill throws a little dig out, but he said it was a joke. He basically said, like, "Oh, a rich man, isn't that your type, Haley?" She was so offended and pissed, and yeah, rightfully so. I would be mad if my husband thought I was a gold digger. I mean, I don't see anything that's wrong with it, but I digress. I would be mad if my husband referred to me as a gold digger. And so he tells her that he was just joking because she gets super pissed about it. And he just says he was joking. And if he really thought something was going on with her and Kyle, he would fly over to Genoa City, Wisconsin, and whoop Kyle's ass. But he knows that Haley would never betray him, and she knows that Bill would not betray her. Hmm, okay. And yeah, that's basically how their little part ends. I cannot wait. I mean, let me just. I know it's going to be terrible for Andre when this comes out, but I cannot wait until Haley hears what happened because she thinks she's untouchable and that she's the only one who could play these little games. Of course, this storyline was intertwined with Danny and Andre. So Andre and Danny are finally home. Andre sustained like a pretty moderate injury. His leg was impaled by something during the tornado, so he's on crutches. He can't really go up the steps. So he told Danny he was just gonna sleep on the couch because it was easier for him. And he was just like, "Oh my gosh, Danny, you must have been so terrified being trapped in that elevator all alone." The guilt on Danny's face is palpable. I I would be surprised if this secret lasts until July. But whatever. So she's just sitting there looking like a sad little puppy while he just goes on and on and on, and she's visibly uncomfortable about it. And then his pain medication finally kicks in. Okay. So he starts dozing off. And so she just really doesn't have to talk to him anymore because he just kept going on and on and on. And he didn't know he could love someone as much as he loves her. Doesn't know what he would do without her. She must have been so scared, blah, blah, blah. And oh, she's such a great wife. And she's like, "I'm just doing what any wife would do," but Andre's just laying it on real thick. And then thank God he passes out from the medication. So then Danny has contacted Vanessa. We see Danny go outside while Andre is knocked out on the couch, and she is contacting someone. That someone is Vanessa. because she wants Vanessa to come over so they can talk about this little elevator tryst. So Vanessa comes over like a good partner in crime does. Now people say what they want to say about Vanessa. She's a dingbat sometimes. Okay, and she's letting Joey hustle her because she's stupid, but she's a good friend to the Duprees. She left Joey in that condo because Joey was allegedly asleep, and I'll tell you why I said allegedly later. And so Vanessa dropped everything and came right over to Danny. So she sneaks in, and Vanessa's like, "Can you tell me why I'm sneaking in here?" And Danny drops a bomb. She tells Vanessa that she and Bill slept together on that elevator. One, that was the first time it was outright said. I mean, it was definitely implied last week, but we didn't see any of that go down. We just saw the beginning and we saw the aftermath. And they got their clothes on pretty quickly, but yeah. So in Tuesday's episode, Danny confirms that she slept with Bill and how she just feels terrible about it. And Vanessa's like, "Oh my God, well, do you think this is just a one time occurrence?" Because Vanessa has been talking about the way that Danny and Bill have been interacting basically ever since Chelsea was kidnapped. That kind of rekindled things with them. And Danny was just trying to say that the reason why they hooked up is because they thought their lives were ended. Girl, what the hell? You were in an elevator. You didn't even know what was going on outside. So that's why Vanessa was like, "Are you sure that's what it was?" And Danny's like, "Yes, blah, blah, blah." Okay. So Vanessa was like, "Well, are you going to tell Andre what happened?" And Danny's like, "We did promise to be truthful about everything." But she was like, "I don't think Andre could take it." Because again, Andre has lost both of his parents in a plane crash. That's why Uncle Ted is basically like his father. And Nicole is very close to him as well because they basically raised this boy only for him to go off and marry his aunt, but whatever. And so she's just like, "I don't think he can handle it." So Vanessa suggests that Danny talk to Bill because Danny's like, "Well, Bill promised to keep his mouth shut," and Vanessa was like, "Well, you better, you better make doubly sure that he's gonna keep his mouth shut if you are not intending on telling Andre." And so Danny says that is what she's gonna do. Danny. I I am interested to see how this plays out because to me, it's been a long time coming. I actually agree with Vanessa. As much as Danny tries to lie to herself and play this game, I agree with Vanessa. And I think there will be another time. But let's see. Now, while Vanessa is over at Danny's, Joey is allegedly asleep at this condo, but guess what? He wasn't. So when Vanessa leaves, we see Joey peek his head out of the door and tell the security guard out there that to basically trail Vanessa because she's going to a friend's house. And also, he is expecting a visitor. And that visitor is the Impaler, aka Heather, aka Joey's sister, aka Bridget on The Bold and the Beautiful. Anyways, so basically, Heather is on her way out of town and she is stopping by Joey's just to say goodbye because I don't believe this woman is going to leave him alone. She still wants to see if he's interested in teaming up. And Joey's like, "No, I already have a partner." And Heather's just looking around the condo because she's never been here and this is her brother. So she sees the picture that Vanessa and Joey took together a couple of months ago. And Heather was like, "Oh, this is the bad bleach job that I saw hanging all over you in the fundraiser slash tornado pictures." Now, why she have to, that's not a bad bleach job, is it? I don't know, whatever. And Heather was just like, "I hope she knows how lucky she is since she's your partner," basically. I mean, she didn't say that, but she was implying that. And Joey confirms that he's content with the way things are, but he's gonna miss his sister. And he tells her not to be a stranger and to please keep in touch, which I think she plans on doing anyways, because I feel like at one point she is going to muscle Joey into partnering up because she doesn't seem like a woman who's going to take no for an answer. So let's see how that plays out as well. Back at Garland, Leslie and Isaiah and Ted are just going through it. So I believe Ted and Leslie went to be tested. And they were waiting for the results to hear. And Isaiah could not be tested because he wasn't even a blood match. So a little later on, the doctor returns with the crushing news that, Ted is not a match and Leslie is not a match because Leslie was basically banking on herself being the match. She was like, I'm going to save my baby. Even though Isaiah was like, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't like put all of your eggs in one basket. But Leslie's like, no, no, no. So then when the doctor tells her that she is not a match either, she just breaks down and Isaiah just leaves the room. So a little bit before that, I believe Martin and Smitty were leaving the hospital because, Madison said it's okay for them to be discharged. And I think Martin wanted to stop by and check on somebody. So then he gets off the elevator and he sees everybody and he's just like, something is wrong. And this is when he finds out about Eva. And so Martin does not hesitate to be tested. He's just like, I'll do it. I'll donate. I want to be tested. And Smitty's like, you are concussed. Did you forget? Okay, like calm down. Number one, you need to see if you are even able to be a donor if you are even a match. But they go back and forth, and Martin, Martin goes ahead with the testing, and Smitty says he will be tested too. So I thought that was very nice. Like everyone's really pulling for Eva and trying their best to help find a match, in addition to the liver transplant registry, which they are also going down frantically trying to find a match. So Kat has been here this entire time and she is just freaked out. She hasn't had any proper time to process the tornado, what happened to Eva, and now this outcome. So she is really just spiraling. Now, I want the people to remember this is the same woman who refused BRCA gene testing, which I believe was just a blood test. And so I think that comes into play and should have been considered with the way her family reacted. So, like I said, Martin jumped to go get tested, and everybody was being tested, and that's fine. Kat is spiraling out. She understands the walls are closing in. It's like Ted's not a match, Leslie's not a match. She's talking to Smitty, and she's like, if you or Martin or whoever else is not a match, then that means I'm gonna have to be tested. And even though I don't want Eva to die, I am terrified and I wonder what a potential transplant can mean for me. And then she gets the idea. She's like, oh, there's still one family member left. Andre. Andre, who's knocked out on pain meds at home. She calls Andre. She tells him it is an emergency. And she tells him about even all of the things. And so Andre hops his hobbled ass up. He tries. He loves his family for sure. Daddy's like, what are you? He's trying to get up and get out the door so he could go be tested. And Daddy's like, you are in no condition to do that, and you need to sit down. And so again, he tries, but his leg gives out from under him, and he just falls down. And he's just like, you know what? You're right, Danny. I can't. I can't right now. And Danny promises him if he feels a little better in the morning, which won't be too long at this point, she will go to the hospital with him. And so Andre stays home. So then, at this point at Garland, it is clear that the pool of candidates is getting smaller. And so Martin just turns to Kat and he's like, okay, girl, you got to get tested. And Kat's like, and he was just like unwilling to accept that Kat is her own person. She does not owe anybody anything. She's already, as I stated earlier, she wouldn't even get tested for her own benefit. Why would y'all think this girl would do this, but Martin was so freaking mean to her. I mean, it's like they didn't grow up together. He was talking to her like some broad off the street, and I was like, my God, today. He is nicer to Eva. I get it. Because he was like, is this another one of your moments of being selfish and this and that? And I can't believe you're hesitating. Like, what is wrong with you? I mean, he called her everything but a child of God in that reception area. And everybody was just standing around. Nobody interjected for Cat. I guess Tomas was gone at this, and that's gonna be another topic. Because what is he there for? Whatever. They just left Kat to fend for herself and just to fight everybody by herself. So Kat gets really upset, and she's just like, how about you actually consider my feelings and my fears for once like a real brother before she runs off. So now she is gone, and we don't know what's about to happen. On to Wednesday, June 17th. Eva is still in the same state because she hasn't found a match for the liver transplant yet. Leslie is hanging on by a thread. She can barely stand the sight of Eva in this condition. She's on a ventilator, all of it. And Ted is just trying to keep everyone calm, including himself. He's trying to tell Leslie, don't think the worst, and that they have to let go of their fears and basically hold on to faith and hope. And I mean, yeah, that's all they could do at this point. So Leslie agrees, and she's just urging Eva to fight for her life. So then Isaiah goes to check on Kat because Kat has run off. She is still in her gown from the tornado, all of it. She hasn't even had a moment to wash her tail. Nothing. She is in the stairwell because she just needed a moment. And Isaiah has found her. And I think this conversation is going to be decent, but it. Ah. So he first asks her how she is doing. And Kat insists that she is fine and that she just wants to be left out of it. Like she does not want it to come down to her being Eva's only hope. And so, she's completely freaked out at the thought of donating, and she feels intense pressure from everyone. But, and then she just tells him, like, they better find somebody else to be the donor, which I think probably set Isaiah off, now that I think about it. So after she said that, Isaiah was like, look, I've seen how you treated Eva like she is scum, but this is next level. And Kat is still talking about how terrified she is at the thought of being cut open and giving a piece of her body to someone who cannot stand her because, her and Eva have issues. And then Isaiah starts asking, is this how you're going to get revenge on Eva? Just by standing by and letting your sister die? That's a little unfair. Not a little unfair, it's a lot unfair. I mean, I get it. The time is ticking. I get it. But Kat is still a person too, with feelings too. She's terrified as well. So I thought that was a little unfair. Then he just and then he just ends the conversation with like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like Miss Little, what did he call her? Little Miss High Morals. He was like, how will you live with yourself if your sister dies, Little Miss High Morals, or Little Ms. Moral High Ground? And then he walks off, and Kat is just left there to cry. Oh my God. I mean, I don't like Kat either, but dang, give her a break. Back in the waiting room, Martin and Smitty are talking, and Martin's still going off about his sister to Smitty. He's just like, I don't know what Kat is thinking. And Smitty was the only level headed one here. He was like, well, maybe she's in a state of shock after everything that's happened. I mean, duh, like damn. So then they Martin goes over to the desk where Shanice is working at, and he just thanks Shanice for springing into action, doing all the things in the ballroom when the emergency happened. And then I believe that is when they find out that they also are not matches for Eva. So it's really down to Kat at this point. Um, and I think at that point, Ted had already ruled out Andre being able to donate anyways because he is on a certain medication due to his injury, and so he can't be an option. So it is on Kat at this point. Okay, on the other side of town, on the poorer side of town where I would be living in the D, we see Jan and Ashley really quickly. Not much to report there. Jan is just really relieved that Ashley is back home safely. Ashley has been burning the candle at both ends, as they say, because she's a new nurse and she wants to do all the things all the time. She is running on fumes. Jan is like, you need to rest and blah blah blah. And then Grayson is either texting or calling. Either way, Ashley is ignoring it, and Jan encourages her to, at least tell the man you are okay. I mean, that's the very least you could do. And so Ashley begrudgingly agrees to do that. And she's like, are you happy now, Mom? Over. So then we also see Dr. Feel Good. Dr. Kyle is back. Her man. Ugh. There's just something about Kyle. Mm, I like it. I like it a lot. So Kyle, I think is the perfect match for Nicole at this stage of her life because number one, Kyle actually called and checked on her. We have yet to see Carlson check in. That's one. And I don't want to hear, well, Carlson's a doctor. He's a plastic surgeon. He is not emergency personnel. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like he is essential. And I feel like he could have had some time to go check on this woman that he swears he loves so much. So since he didn't, Kyle at least checked in. And he was just really nervous. He wanted to make sure Nicole was okay. And he was chatting with her on FaceTime. And he asked if he could come over. Now, Tyrell and Samantha are also there. So they got to be a little sneaky, like little kids again. But Nicole says, yes, you could come over. And it was so nice the way he just meets Nicole where she is at, literally and figuratively. And he doesn't pressure her, and he just took really good care of her. He was sitting and asking her how she felt. Because, like, literally no one has asked her at this point. Again, where the hell is Carlton? Anyways, he just wanted to hear. He was just like so relieved when he saw that she didn't have any scratches on her after this ordeal. He told her he was just terrified. He couldn't wait to come and see her. He asked her what happened. And then he asked, like, how she was really feeling. Like, don't give me this psychiatry blah blah blah, tell me how you're really feeling. And Nicole admits that one of the things that's kind of bothering her is that in an emergency situation like this or anything like this, she typically would have had Ted to lean on, but she was like, Ted has Shanice now. And Kyle said, and you got me. He didn't try no funny business. And he just literally came over there to hold her the entire night and to take care of her. And I love that. A real man. Moving on. So Ted locates Kat in the stairwell. This is after he realizes that Kat is basically the only option left. And he just pulls her into a hug first and they have a conversation. Okay. Kat is basically telling Ted that she wants control over her own life and she feels like everyone views her as a body of just spare parts. And I was like, oh, that's sad. sad. And Ted was sad too. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe you think that. We love you so much. You are literally a miracle because Nicole and Ted have fertility issues after Martin and they tried and tried to have a baby and Kat was that baby after many, many she's a rainbow baby. And so, oh, well, for those who don't know, rainbow babies are babies that come after miscarriages or any types of losses like that. And so Ted was like, "No, we love you. Like we don't think of you that way." But I can understand why she thinks that, given the way she was treated by Martin specifically. I understand it coming from Isaiah. That's not her kin, and Isaiah loves Eva, but just Martin really, he needed his ass whooped over that, in my opinion. But, oh, okay, because Ted should have yoked him up. But that's just my opinion. So then they're still talking everything out because Kat is trying to figure out in real time what she is going to do. And she wants to know, Dad, if I don't go through with this, will you be able to forgive me? Now, Ted does not answer this question outright. He just results to like time, like basically time is running out. He's like, we can't think about that right now. I don't know what to tell you. I just need to know. What are you going to do? Because he's terrified of losing Eva. He doesn't want anything to happen to Kat either because he did express that he wants both of his daughters to live. And that's when Kat asked, what if I don't go through with it? Will you be able to forgive me? And he's just like, I want both of my girls to survive. And he's like basically begging Kat to just please take this simple test. And Kat is just like, I don't want to be a match. And then she starts running off. Now, Ted calls her by her government. He's like, Catherine, for me. I was like, oh my God, please. It was so much. It was so heavy. But Kat just runs off crying, and Ted is left there in that stairwell, just like, like, I thought of Cuba Gooding Jr. and Boys in the Hood when he was just punching the air. It was kind of like that, but Ted wasn't punching the air. And that was basically it. I mean, Wednesday was great. Daytime Emmys for everybody. And I mean that. Wrong. There was something else that happened on Wednesday, which was pretty interesting to me. So, Shanice is the head nurse in charge, and she's basically handling this case. And so, Leslie's been there. She's still in her gown. A lot of people are still in her clothes from the tornado. And Shanice comes in, and she has a little care bag for her. And I was like, oh, this tragedy is bringing people together, at least to be decent to one another, because they ain't never gonna be friends, and I wouldn't be her friend either. But Shanice brings her a change of clothes. It's actually a spare set of scrubs for Shanice. And Leslie's like, Leslie can never just she never believes someone is just genuinely being nice. That's because Leslie's a jacked up individual. But Leslie was like, what are you being so nice to be for? Oh, you want to get brownie points for Teddy Weddy? And Shanice, finally, she was like, I'm not competing with you for Ted because he's mine. You may have had him once, but I got him all the time right now. Thank you, Shanice. Step into your greatness. That's your man. You don't have to fight for him. And that, she was like, I'm genuinely being nice to you because no mother should have to go through this. I am firmly on Team Eva's side. And Shanice has also been, I think she's on the registry already. Or if not, she was going to be tested. So that was a really big moment for the both of them. In fact, this entire experience is breaking down Leslie's little wall of defense because she acts crazy because she really wants to be accepted. She really wants a family. She wants to feel included. She wants to feel like she is somebody. Not necessarily even a super celebrity or like super fancy whatever. She just wants to feel worthy. She needs counseling. But I think this tragedy is going to set her down a different path, slightly different, because she's going to be crazy all day. We know that. On to Thursday, June 18th. So we open with Shanice checking up on Eva, just checking the vitals. Everything's still the same. Leslie's wondering if Ted found Kat. And Shanice is like, I don't really know. And Leslie was like, if it were up to me, they wouldn't even need to find Kat no more. She was like basically implying that she would have, and then they'd have the parts that they need. I'm just like, oh my God, Leslie, please. I know I just got finished saying that she's going to change. I told y'all just a little, it's going to be a little bit of change, but she's still going to be crazy. So, they're just still talking and just checking and blah, blah, blah. And then, so Ted is telling Isaiah that he still couldn't get through to Kat. They don't know where she's at this point, and Isaiah is questioning if Kat could truly be this cold. I don't know, Isaiah. I mean, you so-called know her a little bit. Y'all was, in my opinion, flirting a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, so then we go over to Orphe Jeans and we see Chelsea and Kat. So Kat has gone incognito and she is meeting up with Chelsea because she needs someone to talk to who's not going to judge her, who's just going to listen, and that is Chelsea. Chelsea also brings her a cute little pink, like it looks like a throwback baby fat outfit from the early 2000s. She brings her that to change. And so they're just talking about everything. And this is exactly what Kat needs because she's so conflicted and she doesn't know what to do. And so, Kat is updating Chelsea on everything, how it's such a struggle because it's like, I hate Eva, but I don't want her to die, but I don't want to have to be the one to save her. I'm terrified of this surgery. Am I going to be a terrible person? If I don't do it, everyone's going to blame me. Will Ted, like, Dad will never forgive me? And Chelsea was like, did he say that to you? Like, you're creating a lot of scenarios in your mind. And Chelsea's just like, Chelsea's doing a good job of not playing both sides, well, advocating for both sides because she tells Kat it's definitely your body, your choice, but you really need to think about this. Is this something you could live with if Eva doesn't make it? And she was like, the longer you take to make a decision, it might become or it might come to a point where it's out of your hands because you've taken too long. Even if you wanted to give her the transplant, you may not be able to. And so Kat is just very conflicted and she wishes someone would tell her what to do. And so eventually, after a long conversation at Orphe Jeans, Chelsea's like, get up. We're going to go talk to someone. Now, I think they're going to go talk to Anita, but no, it is Nicole. And I'm glad they did because Nicole, people say Nicole is cold and this and that. But I think she's just a buttoned up semi prude and now she's like being a little wild now, but she loves her kids. And so Kat and Chelsea go to Nicole's and Nicole is now being brought up to speed with everything because no one has told her anything, which is crazy to me. But I digress. So Nicole is there to give a really good conversation to Kat, and Kat was like, just thinking, oh, you must hate me, you must think I'm a terrible person. And Nicole's like, no, I'm just so sad that you had to go through this on your own, and just considering this decision. And she hugs her and she just talks to her, and she kind of echoes Chelsea in terms of like, it is your own body, it is your decision. But, basically, I took that Nicole knew that Kat would do the right thing if she was given the space to process and think. So Nicole didn't tell her what to do. And she wasn't going to tell her what to do. She was like, it's up to you, but you need to basically decide what you can live with and what you can't, basically. And she was like, I know you will make the right decision. It's basically all that Chelsea got from, I mean, Kat got from that conversation. But overall, again, it was a really good conversation, a really good example of how to be calm with your trying children. Because Kat is one of those kids. I think I was one of those kids too. I wasn't a snob though, but yeah, really good conversation. Really quick, speaking of Carlton, this is the first day we've seen Carlton all freaking week. He's been there checking on Ted. Now that's his man. He's been a really good friend to Ted, even though he stole his wife. But whatever. So then he's talking to Ted, just checking up, making sure he's okay. Everyone in the practice has signed up to be tested for Eva's sake as well, and Ted is happy to hear that. But he's just going through. And then Carlton calls Nicole. I finally think this is the time he's gonna be like, "Are you okay? What's going?" No, to tell Nicole that Ted had been at the hospital all night and he needs a friend. I was completely confused by that. Because I also, like I said, I feel like Carlton should have been checking in on Nicole long before this. And we never saw him do that. We just saw him looking out for Ted, basically. I'm like, okay. Now, Kyle is also at the hospital at this point because he couldn't stay at Nicole's. He was doing a great job taking care of the situation. He let Nicole sleep in, and he was being a little loud in the house, and she got nervous because she thought Tyrell and Samantha were still there. And he was like, Smitty came and got them hours ago. How do you like your omelet? That's right, Kyle. He took care of everything, let her sleep, and yeah. So then he also commented on how he liked seeing Nicole like that, like tousled hair and flushed cheeks. And he was like, "You always look good, but this is doing something." So then they start canoodling, but they stop because Kyle got to go to work. And then Kyle went to work, and he gets brought up to speed by Shanice a little bit because she can't tell all the business, but. She was like, "Oh, Nicole didn't know by now?" No, which is crazy. But yeah, that's basically all we saw of Kyle as well. So the doctor is now telling Leslie and Ted that they need Eva to hold on because her vitals are starting to change and go in the wrong direction. And they just need her to hold on so they can find this liver. And the doctor unfortunately says it will be a miracle if Eva makes it to the morning. So Ted and Leslie are really like. So then we see Nicole still talking to Kat. I thought their conversation was over, but it wasn't. So Kat insists that she's not a heartless bitch, but she ain't a forgetful one either. And I was like, that's a bar. I respect it. And she was like, she felt like Eva was setting up the ultimate payback to make her look terrible. Now, this is when Kat loses me because what? This is insanity. Eva is not that damn evil, and I'm tired of you making her seem that way. The girl just got caught up. She's loyal to her mother. Kat would be in the same freaking position if it were Nicole. I bet money. So I'm so tired of this too. Like, get over it. The real person who did you wrong was your daddy. That's it. Leslie needs to pay for her crimes. Eva was just an innocent bystander for the most part. I mean, she got roped into this. She was manipulated. She was lied to. And again, if it were the other way around, if it were flipped, Kat would do the same for Nicole without hesitation. So I don't want to hear it. And Kat is also convinced that Eva would not do the same for her if Kat were the one hurting. I don't believe that, but whatever. So then Nicole is still talking to her, and she's just like, it is your choice. But she suggests to Kat that she at least takes the blood test just to see if she is a match, just in case she changes her mind, and to make sure that if she does want to go through it, they are not too late. Now, the other major thing that happened on Thursday was Danny confronting Bill. She stormed into that law firm and they had a conversation. Danny was basically like, "You need to keep your mouth shut about this. I don't want you saying any innuendos. Don't play any games around Andre. None of that. And Bill starts to protest at first because let me find out. Bill is really catching feelings over this little elevator rendezvous. In his mind, the way I was interpreting things, in his mind, this was destined to happen. I agree. And he has real feelings. And even when Danny was like, "Well, what about our spouses?" He was like, basically, "What about?" He don't care nothing about Haley. He's like, "What if I don't care how Haley reacts to this?" Didn't we just see Haley's origin story 2 weeks ago, and you were just so convinced that Haley was your future and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Now you want Danny back because Bill clearly did not regret the elevator. He thinks it was destined to be, and that they're just fooling themselves. Danny is like, no, she's not fooling herself. She knows she has a good man with Andre, and she is not going to allow Bill to turn her into another version of Bill and treat Andre the way Bill treated her. I know that's a lot, but yeah. So Danny actually convinces Bill to keep his mouth shut. That's at least what he said. They did a lot of going back and forth, and she's just telling him, if Bill does not follow through with this, he will be dead to her. Period. And Bill's like, I don't respond to threats well. And he insists that it'll never be over between them. But he then says, after looking into Danny's eyes, because she's very upset and very at this point, he's just like, you know what? I promise I won't say anything to Andre because I have hurt you enough and I'm not going to do that anymore. So that's what Bill says. And Danny leaves. So let's see if he can actually keep his word because I don't believe it. In wrapping up Thursday's episode, we are back to Leslie and Ted, and Leslie is just like, you know what, we're not going to pay that doctor any mind. We're going to lean into our faith and hope, and Eva's going to come through this. And so Ted is just apologizing at this point for how he treated Leslie when she was pregnant with Eva, and Leslie apologizes for her role too. So, he's just trying to make amends just in case, I guess. And he's just worried that he might lose Eva all over again. So then at that point, Isaiah, I think he had been in the room just talking to Eva, crying over her. He is very devastated by this. So he comes back out because Ted and Leslie were in the waiting room when they're having this conversation. And he's asking for some good news. And I thought they were about to say, we don't have any, when the elevator door opens and it is Cat. Everyone is just like, oh, she came back. And Kat goes to the table, not the table, the desk, and she lets them know that she is ready to be tested to see if she is a donor. Now, Nicole is behind her. She has accompanied her to the hospital, which was great. Ted and Leslie are super relieved. And Leslie is just sure that Kat will be a match, and she's celebrating with Ted and hugging him as Nicole just scowls on from the elevator. So let us get into Juneteenth, Friday, June 19th. We finally see some members of the Hawthorne family come to this hospital and support their son. I mean, no wonder Isaiah doesn't care about them that much. Darlene is finally there. She is she's bringing Isaiah a care package and some like change of clothes so he can freshen up and get his bearings. She steps up because again the Hawthorne family has not been there at all. Jacob was at the banquet hall at the country club for a bit, or the ballroom I should say. And then he been at this police station most of the time. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so she is there, and Isaiah is happy to see her. And Darlene also visits. What was that? Darlene also visits Eva's room. Now, Leslie was on go as soon as Darlene walked in there because she was like, we don't need any bad juju in here. Like, I already know how you feel about my daughter. I already know how you feel about me. I don't need it right now. But surprisingly, Darlene and Leslie are able to have a mom to mom moment of solidarity because Darlene is just like Shanice, basically. She's like, no mom deserves to go through this, and I am pulling for Eva, and I'm here to support, and I am hoping and praying that Eva comes out of this unscathed and okay. Great. So Leslie is able to put down her guard there as well. And once again, it seems like maybe this is going to change her just a little. So then we also get some good news in the beginning of this episode where this doctor, who is pissing me off, by the way, I want him fired from Garland. The doctor enters and he has major news. He tells Ted and Leslie, and Darlene just happens to be in the room still at this point as well. But he tells them that they have found a match on the donor registry list. So I'm like, great. They found someone. They don't necessarily need Kat because at this point, we don't know if Kat is a match or not. She's only done the blood test and she's waiting to hear the results. So everyone's like celebrating the great news, and then this damn doctor comes back maybe like 10 minutes later. It's like, oops, my bad. I'm so sorry, but the available liver is gone because it was allocated to another patient. I was just as mad as Leslie. She went off, and rightfully so. She's like, how you gonna tell me you had a liver, but now you don't have a liver? Like, please. Ooh, my desk is mad too. But please, it's like, what is going on here? What are you running over at Garland? And can I get a new doctor? I mean, this is just ridiculous. So then they are right back to square one. And it is just, ugh. Elon finally comes up to the hospital as well. He's been at the precinct just handling all of the like tornado things and the aftermath of that and the impaler case and blah 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 blah. And Jacob's been working on it too. But Jacob and Elon do come up there and they are finally rallying around Isaiah because he needs his family. So they're all there and Elon is there, which is a huge thing because Elon and Isaiah have beef because Elon feels like Isaiah is basically the black sheep of this family. He's caused them so many issues, even though he has turned his life around at this point. He still can't really let it go. Neither can Isaiah, but whatever. So Elon is there and he tells them, like, I know we've had our differences and whatnot, but I am praying for Eva as well. And we are Hawthorns and we are tough and we are going to get through this. And so will Eva. So it was very nice to see that the family is getting back together. So great. So then while all of this is going on at the hospital, Kat has taken her test, right? And you think Kat is going to hang around the hospital and wait for the results. No, she's gone through the trap door somewhere. She has disappeared. She's really at Atrium with Tomas. Now, where has Tomas been? I heard what Kat said. Oh, some underprivileged youth that Tomas mentors needed him, and so I told him to go. No, I don't care. You've been gone way too long. I'm just like, what are you doing during the day? I feel like something might come out about Tomas later because whatever. So they are at Atrium, and if she likes it, I love it. And she was just happy with Tomas just chatting, and he was taking her mind off of things with some, what is it, criminal trivia or her little murder podcast trivia thing. And so Kat was able to just distract herself, and that was good. So she's just waiting to get the results, and while she is still talking to Tomas, she gets a phone call from the lab, and they tell her that they have the results. So, of course, it turns out that Kat is an exact match. And Kat begins to spiral all over again. But this time, she goes over to talk to her grandma, Anita. And Anita can relate very deeply to the high stakes situation that Kat is in because she is comparing it to the situation with Barbara. Barbara was the what, fourth articulate who took her life because she blamed Anita because Anita went solo, I believe, and just kind of broke up the group or something like that. She blamed Anita, she committed suicide, and Barbara turned out to be the biological mother of Leslie. So, whatever there. Anita has dealt with immense guilt behind that decision that she made and what, resulted as a part of her decision. And she does not want that for Kat. She's just like, I don't want you to be thinking about this every day if things should go wrong, like if Eva should die. If you had the opportunity to help her and you didn't, can you live with that? And again, I don't want you to have to live with that. But Anita also respects it's Kat's body. You have body autonomy. Because Anita can relate to that as well. Because during her cancer journey, she was about to give up the ghost, regardless of what anybody said, because she's like, it's her body and she's going to do it. So Anita can relate to both things, but she also feels like, she trusts Kat. She trusts Kat and she knows that she will make the right decision. So then after some more thought, I guess, we see Kat come back to the hospital. The elevator doors open, everyone is there, and they jump on her like white or rice. I'm like, Jesus. Thankfully, Nicole was there because literally everyone was like, where have you been? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you a match? Are you a match? And Nicole's like, give her some space. You, mom. God. So, whatever. So, Kat goes over to Eva's room, and that's where Leslie and Ted are. Leslie jumps up quickly. She's like, oh my God, you didn't run away. You're here. Are you a match? And so Kat lets them know that she is a match. And she tells them that she is going to go along with the transplant surgery. And Leslie is so relieved. She's like, oh, thank you, God. And she calls her little kitty cat, but not in a malicious way this time. And she's like, I'm just so thankful to you. I don't know, like, I don't know how I can even repay you or anything like that. And just she hugs Cat. And Cat's just like, stuck. And yeah, she hugs Cat and she runs out to tell the others that Cat is back. She's a match and she's gonna do it. So that's where we are with that. Ted is barely able to speak or react in the moment. He's just like, you can see the pure relief on his face, and he just goes over and hugs his daughter. So, whew, I'm very relieved that Kat is going to do this, even though I don't agree with how much they pressured her. I feel like they could have handled her a little more gently, knowing who she is and how she feels about these sorts of things. And they did not have to just pressure her into this so badly. Kat is still in the room after Ted leaves as well, and she is able to talk to Eva directly. Eva's still unconscious, of course, but she's just like, you know, you're welcome, Eva. I shouldn't giggle. She didn't say it in like a mean way. I think she's just trying to bring a little bit of like levity to the moment because she is terrified. And Kat just always has to have the last word. She has to let it be known what she's doing when it pertains to Eva. But yes, she just tells her, "You're welcome." So then a little later, we see that Eva is being wheeled out for her procedure. This is after Isaiah and Leslie are in the room, just like praying over her and just bracing for the surgery. Leslie decides to follow the gurney out while Isaiah stays back, and he kind of breaks down a little bit. But this is when Elon walks in and he just hugs Isaiah and holds him in his arms while he cries. And I'm like, let the circle be unbroken. I love it. Heal the family. So I hope Isaiah and Elon can keep up this good rapport and not have any further issues. So then we also see Kat is, they are ready to roll, basically. She's in her gown, she's in the gurney. Tomas is there, wishing her well, giving her a kiss. I guess he could do that. Martin was there. He ain't apologized, though. I still want the apology. But he and Kat were cool in the moment. And he told her, I think he told her how he was proud of her and, she's making the right decision. And good luck with everything, and he'll be waiting and all of that. And of course, Chelsea did the same. Nicole did the same. And then it was Ted's turn. So he had a little bit of alone time with Kat, and Kat looked at Ted and she's just letting him know that she is doing this for him, not for anybody else, not even Eva. She is specifically doing this for her father. And Ted thanks her. And he's just like, a little emotional. He's like deeply moved by all of it. And they just get ready for this operation. And that is how Friday ends. So, whew, that week was really great, in my opinion. And this soap is a real contender, okay? I feel like everyone is acting their butts off. I believe it. I'm invested. I'm learning stuff on the way as well. So I love this soap. I hope Eva and Kat come out of this surgery okay. I have seen the preview and I see that Kat is going to have a little bit of a medical emergency, but I don't think they would kill off Kat or Eva. So, but I'm curious to see what goes on there. What else? Oh my goodness. There's just so much going on. And I'm a little because I already watched today's episode for Monday, but we're going to talk about that next week. So, yeah, I'm just pulling for Eva and Kat. I hope Leslie can contain herself a little more. I hope she leaves this situation with a little more sense and a little less defensiveness and combativeness, because she could be a decent person if she just got some things in order. But again, this has just been great. We are coming off another great week with the Y&R crossover right into this liver transplant saga, and I am invested. So I will see you guys next week here on the deep dive with Toya Creates. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of the things. Thank you so much for all of those who actually do watch these videos all the way to the end. You're the real MVP. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys next week.